I take a few shots, they're too
Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going deep on base attack force.
Yeah.
And more specifically, how to use gold strategically.
Right.
You know, to get like the maximum impact in the game.
Yeah.
You've given me some awesome sources for this deep dive.
Great.
We've got price breakdowns for different gold packages.
Okay.
We've got in-depth guides on base building.
All right.
And then we've got some stuff on these daily quests that look really interesting.
Sounds good.
So, yeah, let's just get right to it.
Yeah, so it's fascinating to me
Okay.
how even small amounts of gold
Yeah.
can be leveraged for a surprising advantage,
Yeah.
especially early in the game.
Right. Like, I was looking at some of these packages. Like, we see players gravitating towards the larger gold packages, like the 10,800 gold for $69.99, or even the 16,900 for $99.99.
Right.
But, you know, what about those of us who want to be a little more strategic with our spending?
Right.
What can we learn from those who've kind of mastered the game without, you know, going crazy and spending tons of money?
Yeah, and the sources actually point to this fascinating trend
Okay.
where successful players, even free-to-play players,
Wow.
often treat gold like a scalpel, not a hammer.
Okay.
They're really focusing it on specific high-impact areas.
Okay, I love that analogy.
Yeah.
So where do we even start?
Right.
New players are bombarded with options,
Absolutely.
base building, upgrades,
Yep.
not to mention those instant resource purchases that are so tempting.
Oh yeah, always tempting.
So yeah, like how do we even prioritize?
Well, one key takeaway from the Base Attack Force Help Guide
Okay.
is that your command center level really dictates your strategic option.
Okay.
So each level unlocks specific buildings,
Okay.
not just more slots. So, for example, reaching level 5
Yeah.
unlocks the OA-82 Sharmila units.
No, I remember seeing those mentioned a lot
Yeah.
in the player forum discussions you sent.
Yeah.
What makes them so special?
Well, they highlight.
Especially for new players.
Yeah, they're incredibly low cost. Just 1 gold for 10 units.
Wow.
It's practically giving them away.
Wow.
But here's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
These units have a really high resource gathering rate
Oh.
compared to their cost. So over time, a dedicated player can amass a significant resource advantage
Right.
just by consistently producing Jarmillas,
Wow.
even if they're not spending a ton of gold overall.
So it's about playing the long game,
Exactly.
building that foundation early on.
Yeah.
And speaking of resource generation,
Right.
we've got to talk about those oil pumps, gold mines, and of course factories.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
And the sources consistently emphasize maximizing those factories early.
Okay.
It might be tempting to go all in on defense,
Yeah, I could see that.
right? But neglecting production will hurt you in the long run.
So how do we balance those early game priorities?
Yeah, it's a tough one.
You've got to defend your assets, but also ensure that steady flow of resources coming in,
Yeah.
you know, to keep upgrading and building.
Well, the Base Attack Force Help Guide
Okay.
gives a pretty solid pro tip here.
Okay. I like pro tips.
Strive for balance in your building layout.
Okay.
Max out those oil pumps and gold mines.
Yeah.
Make sure you have consistent income,
Right.
but don't skimp on those defensive turrets.
Okay.
A well-placed turret or two
Yeah.
can deter those early game raiders
Uh-huh.
and protect those precious resource generators.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a theme here.
Yeah, what's that?
It's not just about having the gold.
Wow.
It's about knowing when and where to deploy it
Right,
for maximum effect.
for sure.
And that brings us to another use of gold I want to talk about.
Okay.
Recovering from attacks. Before this deep dive, I had no idea
Really?
how crucial that recovery system could be. I've
Yeah.
kind of been ignoring it.
It's almost like a hidden gem
Yeah.
in the game's mechanics.
Yeah.
You can recover vital buildings,
Good.
power plant,
Uh-huh.
military central,
Yeah.
even base command
Wow.
for just 1 gold per piece.
Seriously.
It's practically the cost of a cup of coffee in some places.
Wow. So strategically,
Yeah.
how should we think about those recovery costs?
Yep, that's a good question.
When is it like a no-brainer to spend that gold?
Right.
And when might we consider, you know, letting a building stay destroyed for a bit?
That's interesting because the guide doesn't actually address that directly,
Huh.
which I find interesting.
Yeah.
It's almost like they assume you'll always recover,
Right.
but a savvy player might consider,
Uh-huh.
what if I let my less crucial buildings
Yeah.
stay destroyed for a short while?
Okay.
You know, making myself a less appealing target.
Oh, sneaky.
And then I spend that gold on something else,
Right.
like factory upgrades.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's about thinking a few steps ahead.
Oh, sneaky. So we're not just rebuilding, we're using the recovery system as part of our overall strategy.
Exactly.
I like it.
And this is where those sources highlighting the free-to-play players really get insightful.
Okay.
They talk about prioritizing certain buildings
Okay.
for recovery
Yeah.
based on your immediate goals.
Okay, so let's say I'm a new player.
Right.
I just got raided.
Oh, no.
My base is a bit of a mess.
Okay.
What's my top priority for recovery?
Right.
Assuming I have very limited gold to work with.
Yeah, the consensus seems to be
Okay.
get that power plant back online ASAP.
Okay.
Without power, you're severely limited in what you can do.
Makes sense?
Then focus on your military central.
Okay.
You need to be able to train troops,
Right.
defend yourself,
Yes.
or even launch counterattacks.
Okay.
Base command comes later, especially in the early game.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So we're prioritizing function over form in those early stages.
precisely.
And it's worth noting that these recovery costs are surprisingly consistent
Yeah.
across different building types.
Uh-huh.
It's almost like the game developers are encouraging players to use this system strategically.
It seems that way.
Yeah, so even if you don't have a massive gold stockpile,
Right.
those small targeted expenditures can make a huge difference.
Absolutely. And this is where those daily and weekly quests you mentioned come in.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about those.
They offer a surprisingly consistent way to earn small amounts of gold,
Okay.
even if you never spend a dime on in-app purchases.
Okay, so what are we looking at for today's daily objectives?
All right, so for today's dailies,
Yeah.
it's all about taking down those enemy base flags.
Okay,
There's 3 tiers,
Oh, right.
level 1,
Uh-huh.
level 2,
Okay.
and level 3.
gotcha.
Each successful attack nets you
Okay.
a decent chunk of steel and aluminum.
Oh, we're here for the gold, right?
Exactly, and that's where the weekly quests shine.
Okay.
Building BRDM2 units, for example, can get you 10 gold.
Nice. But there's a catch. There's always a catch. What do we need to know to maximize our gold gains from these quests?
The sources emphasize 2 key points.
Okay.
Timing and resource management.
All right.
You have to claim those daily rewards before midnight CET,
Ooh.
or they're gone.
Wow.
And to be eligible for those weekly gold rewards,
Yeah.
your home map resources need to be below 1 million.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's all about staying ahead of the curve
Okay.
and managing your resources effectively.
So it's not just about mindless grinding. It's about playing smart,
For sure.
hitting those deadlines.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And those small amounts of gold earned consistently over time
Yeah.
can really add up.
Yeah.
Especially when you use them
Right.
for those targeted strategic purchases
Right.
we talked about.
This is already giving me a whole new perspective on gold
Yeah.
in base attack force. It's
Right.
not just about those big flashy purchases.
Right.
It's about those small strategic moves
Absolutely.
that can give you a real edge,
Yeah,
especially early on.
for sure. Especially early.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And speaking of those strategic moves,
Okay.
there's another fascinating aspect of the game that the sources highlight.
All right. What's that?
Maximizing resource gains
Okay.
while offline.
Offline.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like, how do we make our gold work for us
Yeah.
even when we're not actively playing?
That's where the resource accelerator comes in.
Okay.
Now, you can purchase this building outright,
Okay.
but it also has a really interesting feature.
All right.
You can spend 1 gold to convert it for 1 hour,
Okay.
which dramatically boosts your resource production
Wow.
while you're offline.
So I can set it up before bed
Exactly.
and wake up to a nice resource boost.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
like it.
Right. But here's where the real strategic thinking comes in.
Okay.
The sources emphasize using the resource accelerator
Yeah.
in conjunction with those daily and weekly quests.
Huh.
It creates like a powerful synergy.
Oh, cool.
Imagine maximizing your resource production overnight,
Yeah.
and then you use those resources to complete quests
Right.
and earn even more gold.
Oh, wow.
It's like a virtuous cycle.
Now that's what I call playing smart. We're using every tool at our disposal to maximize those gains.
Absolutely.
And that brings us to another kind of fascinating aspect of gold usage
Right.
that the sources touch upon,
Okay.
those instant resource purchases.
Right.
Now you can grind for those resources,
Yeah, you can definitely grind.
but gold offers a shortcut.
It does.
I've seen those options in the game,
Yeah.
but honestly, they always seemed a little bit like a trap to me.
Yeah, they can be dangerous.
Is there ever a time
Yeah.
when it makes sense to spend gold on resources directly?
Yeah, the sources suggest that there are specific situations where it can be a strategic move,
Okay.
but it requires careful consideration.
Yeah.
For example, you might be really close to a crucial upgrade. That requires a large influx of resources.
Okay.
And spending a small amount of gold could push you over the edge
Right.
and give you a significant advantage.
Okay.
Or you might be in a tight spot after a raid
Yeah.
and need to replenish your resources quickly
To rebuild.
to rebuild those defenses.
Right. Yeah. So it's about weighing the costs and the benefits
Exactly.
and considering the long-term implication.
For sure.
And this is where understanding the value proposition
Yeah.
of those different gold packages becomes crucial.
Absolutely.
Remember, the sources provide detailed breakdowns
They do?
of the cost per gold
Okay.
for those different bundles.
Right.
A savvy player is going to analyze those figures
Yep.
and determine which package offers the best value
Right.
for their needs.
It's like treating gold like any other investment,
Yeah.
carefully considering
Yeah.
where it will yield the highest returns.
I like that.
Yeah.
We're getting pretty deep into the strategic weeds here.
We are deep.
So I think it's time to shift gears a bit
Okay.
and talk about another crucial aspect of base attack force,
Right.
base defense.
Base defense, yeah.
Because what good is all this resource production
Right.
if we can't protect it?
You got to protect it.
Totally.
Yeah, the sources provide a wealth of information on this.
Okay.
Building an impenetrable fortress.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So let's get tactical. What are the key takeaways for building a base that can withstand those relentless attacks?
Well, one that stands out immediately
Okay.
is the emphasis on flax.
Yeah.
Those stationary but powerful defensive structures.
Yeah.
The sources dive deep into their placement, their armor,
Okay.
their damage scaling,
Uh-huh.
revealing some surprising insights.
We touched on flax a bit in the last part,
Yeah, we did.
especially the idea of diminishing returns
Right.
when attacking them.
Yeah,
But let's dive a little deeper into those strategic insights.
sure.
What makes flax so crucial for a solid defense?
What's interesting about flax, is that they're a bit of a double-edged sword. They can be incredibly powerful, capable of taking out both ground and air units. But their effectiveness is directly tied to how they're used.
Okay, I'm seeing a pattern here.
What's that?
It's not just about having the powerful units, it's about understanding how to use them strategically.
Exactly.
And that's where those specific examples from the sources come into play.
Yeah.
Like they actually compare the effectiveness of 100 Caesar howitzers
Right.
versus 10 Caesar howitzers
Right.
attacking a flak.
Yeah, I remember seeing that in the Base Attack Force Tips and Tricks guide.
Yeah, what was the takeaway there?
The results were pretty eye-opening.
Really?
The smaller group of howitzers
Yeah.
actually inflicted significantly more damage per unit because the flak's defenses were less effective against a concentrated attack.
Oh, wow.
It's a classic example of the principle of diminishing returns.
So it's not about overwhelming the flak with sheer numbers. Right.
It's about finding that sweet spot
Exactly.
where your attacks are most potent.
Precisely. And this principle applies to other aspects of base defense as well.
Okay.
It's about understanding the strengths and weaknesses of different units
Yeah.
and deploying them strategically
Right.
to maximize their impact.
This is making me rethink my entire defensive strategy. Yeah. I used to just cram as many units as possible into my base,
Yeah, I can see that.
thinking that more was always better.
More is not always better.
But now I'm seeing the value of a more nuanced approach.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's quality over quantity
Right.
and understanding those subtle interactions
Right.
between different unit types.
Yeah.
And the sources provide a wealth of information
Yeah.
on those nuances. Yeah, allowing players to truly master the art of defense.
Okay. I'm ready to get into the nitty-gritty of those defensive strategies, but I think we need to save that for part 2 of our deep dive.
Sounds good. We've laid a solid foundation. We're gonna have to...
Exploring the strategic use of gold
Yeah.
and uncovering some key insights
Right.
about maximizing your base's potential.
It's been an eye-opening journey so far.
Yeah, it has.
We've learned about everything from leveraging those OA-82 Jarmilla units early on
Yeah.
to strategically recovering from attacks,
Right.
using that recovery system. And we've just scratched the surface of those flak dynamics.
So much more to uncover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't wait. Until then, commanders, keep those bases strong and those minds sharp.
Yes.
We'll see you back here for part 2
Looking forward to it.
of our base attack force deep dive.
Absolutely.
Welcome back to our base attack force deep dive.
Good to be back.
In the last part, we were exploring some surprising ways to use gold strategically, especially early on in the game.
Yeah.
And now it's time to talk about fortifying our defenses.
For sure.
Because what good is all that resource production
Right.
if we can't protect it?
You got to protect it. And the sources you've shared really highlight the importance of thinking about defense as a system,
Okay.
not just a collection of individual units.
Okay, I'm all ears. Break down those defensive layers for me.
Right.
What are the key principles at play here?
The sources really emphasize understanding the interplay
Okay.
between flax,
Yeah.
tanks, and those often overlooked highways. It's crucial for a truly effective defense.
We already touched on the power of flax in the last part,
We did.
especially that idea of diminishing returns when attacking them.
Yeah.
But how do tanks fit into this defensive puzzle?
Yeah.
They seem more suited for offensive maneuvers to me.
That's a common misconception.
Oh,
While tanks are undeniably powerful offensive units,
Yeah.
they also play a vital role in defense,
Okay.
particularly when combined with flags
Okay.
and strategically placed highways.
Okay. I'm officially intrigued.
Yeah.
Explain how those highways come into play defensively.
One of the base attack force tips and tricks guides had a fascinating section on this.
Okay.
Think of the highways as escape routes for your tanks.
Okay.
Instead of just sitting there taking damage from air units,
Yeah.
they can use the highways to quickly exit the map,
Okay.
preserving your valuable forces.
Ah, so it's like a tactical retreat.
Exactly.
A way to live to fight another day.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And this strategy becomes even more effective
Okay.
when you combine it with well-placed flags.
Okay.
The flags act as your first line of defense,
Yeah.
taking out those pesky air units,
Right.
while your tanks engage ground troops.
Right.
And if the situation gets too hot,
Yeah.
those tanks can then make a strategic withdrawal
Okay.
via the highways,
Yeah.
minimizing your losses.
That's a brilliant combination. It's
Yeah.
like a choreographed dance,
It is.
with each unit playing a specific role
Yeah.
in the overall defensive strategy.
I like it.
But how do we know
Yeah.
when to hold the line with our tanks?
Right.
And when to retreat?
That's where the art of command comes in.
Okay.
The sources emphasize
Yeah.
understanding the strengths and weaknesses of your units,
Okay.
as well as anticipating your opponent's moves.
Right.
It's crucial.
So if your tanks are outmatched,
Yeah.
or if you sense a trap, it's better to retreat and regroup
Right. Yeah.
than to risk losing those valuable units.
You don't want to lose those.
No.
It's a judgment call
Right.
based on the situation at hand.
And this is where experience and knowledge of the game
Absolutely.
really come into play.
For sure.
Those successful players we keep talking about, they've mastered the art of reading the battlefield
Right.
and making those split-second decisions. That can mean the difference between victory and defeat.
It's huge.
And I bet gold plays a role in those successful defenses, right?
Oh, absolutely.
We've already talked about those recovery options.
Yeah.
But are there other ways to leverage gold
There are.
to boost our defensive capabilities?
Absolutely. The sources highlight several key areas
Yeah.
where strategic gold spending
Yeah.
can make a real difference.
Yeah.
For example, you can upgrade your flax,
Okay.
giving them increased armor, weapon strength and range.
So a level 7 flak
Oh, yeah.
is a serious force to be reckoned with.
A level 7 flak is like a fortress within a fortress. Wow. The sources point out an interesting difference
Okay.
between base attack force and combat siege
Okay.
when it comes to flak levels.
Okay, I'm curious. What's the difference?
Base attack force caps flak levels at 7,
Okay.
while combat siege goes all the way up to 12.
Wow.
Now, this might seem like combat siege has the advantage.
Yeah.
But-
hard to catch.
Exactly. The sources suggest that this difference highlights
Look.
base attack forces focus on cost effectiveness.
Okay.
Those higher level flaks in combat siege might be powerful,
Yeah.
but they come at a steep price,
Okay.
both in terms of resources
Okay.
and upgrade time. Base attack force, on the other hand,
Yeah.
provides a more streamlined
Okay.
and arguably more balanced approach.
So it's about finding that sweet spot
Right.
between power and efficiency.
Precisely. And this principle applies to other aspects of base defense as well.
Okay.
It's about understanding that every upgrade,
Yeah.
every unit purchase is a strategic decision
Right.
with both cost and benefits.
And gold can help us tip those scales in our favor,
It can.
especially when used strategically.
Absolutely.
And let's not forget about those tank upgrades.
Oh yeah, the tanks.
Yeah.
You can use gold to enhance their armor,
Okay.
their firepower, and even their movement speed.
So even if we do have to retreat,
Right.
we can make sure our tanks are fast enough
Exactly.
to get out of harm's way.
It's about creating a multi-layered defense
Yeah.
with each element working in harmony
Right.
to create a truly formidable force.
This is giving me a whole new appreciation
Yeah.
for the complexity of base defense in this game.
It is complex.
It's not just about throwing units at the problem.
No, it's not that simple.
It's about understanding the intricate interplay between different unit types, terrain features, strategic upgrades.
It's a lot to consider.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
You mentioned the meta earlier.
I did.
Can you break down that concept for our listeners who
15.
might not be familiar with the term?
The meta, short for metagame,
Okay.
refers to the prevailing trends and strategies within a game.
Okay.
At any given time, it's constantly evolving as players discover new tactics,
Okay.
exploit weaknesses,
Yeah.
and adapt to counter those exploits.
So it's like a living, breathing ecosystem
It is.
of strategies and counter strategies.
Exactly. And being aware of the meta
Yeah.
is crucial for staying ahead of the curve.
Right.
That's why those player forums and strategy guides you shared are so valuable.
Yeah.
They provide insights into the latest trends
Okay.
and help you adapt your defenses accordingly.
It's like having a team of expert advisors
Yes.
helping you fine-tune your strategy.
Precisely. And it's worth noting
Yeah.
that the meta isn't just about what's currently popular.
Okay.
It's also about understanding the underlying principles of the game and anticipating how those principles
Yeah.
might be exploited.
So it's about thinking critically and creatively,
Absolutely.
not just blindly following the crowd.
That's how you get ahead.
And that brings us to another fascinating aspect of base defense
Okay.
that the sources touch upon.
Right.
The psychological game.
The psychological game, huh?
Yeah, we're talking about mind games now.
In a way, yes.
Okay.
It's about understanding that defense isn't just about physical barriers and firepower.
Okay.
It's also about creating a sense of uncertainty and doubt in your opponent's mind.
So how do we achieve that?
Yeah.
How do we make our opponents think twice
Right.
before attacking us?
The sources suggest several tactics. For example,
Yeah.
you might deliberately leave certain areas of your base
Yeah.
seemingly vulnerable,
Oh,
luring attackers into a trap.
I like it.
Or you might create a complex network of defensive structures
Okay.
that makes it difficult for attackers to predict
Yeah.
where your main defenses are located.
So it's about creating a sense of mystery.
Yeah.
Unpredictability,
Yeah.
keeping your opponents guessing.
Exactly. And this psychological element
Yeah.
can be just as effective as any physical defense.
Wow.
In fact, it can often be the deciding factor
Yeah.
in a close battle.
This is really making me think about defense
Yeah.
in a whole new light.
Yeah.
It's not just about building walls and deploying units. It's
Right.
about creating a strategic puzzle
Exactly.
that's both challenging and unpredictable.
And it's about understanding that a successful defense
Yeah.
is often as much about what your opponent doesn't know
Right.
as it is about what they do know.
Yeah. Mind games, indeed. This has been an incredible deep dive
It has been.
into the world of base defense.
Yeah.
We've explored everything.
They have.
From the strategic use of flax and tanks
Ah.
to the importance of understanding the meta
Right.
and even leveraging psychological tactics
Oh, yeah.
to gain an advantage.
It's all connected.
And we've seen how gold, when used strategically,
Yes.
can enhance those defensive capabilities.
For sure.
And help you create a truly formidable fortress.
Absolutely.
But we're not done yet, are we?
Not quite.
There's still more to uncover.
There is.
In the next part of our deep dive,
Okay.
we'll explore those advanced strategies for maximizing your gold's value,
Sounds good.
uncovering those hidden tips and tricks
Right.
that the sources reveal.
Looking forward to it.
We'll delve deeper into those specific unit upgrades,
Sure.
resource management techniques,
Uh-huh.
and those intriguing coupon codes
Oh, yeah?
that can save you a bundle.
Can't wait.
So stay tuned, Commanders.
Yes.
We're about to unlock the secrets to becoming a true base attack force champion.
Absolutely.
Welcome back, Commanders, to the final part of our base attack force deep dive.
It's been quite a journey.
We've covered a ton of ground,
We have.
from sneaky gold tactics to
Right.
building a multi-layered defense.
Yeah.
But, you know, you've shared some sources with me
Uh-huh.
that hint at even deeper levels of mastery.
Yeah, it's fascinating how
Yeah.
the most successful players, the ones who consistently dominate those leaderboards,
Yeah.
often operate on principles that aren't explicitly stated
Right.
in the game's tutorials.
Okay, you've got me hooked. Give me an example.
Right.
What's one of those unspoken rules
Okay.
that separates the pros from the casual players?
One that really stood out to me
Okay.
was this concept of opportunity cost when it comes to gold spending.
Okay.
It's not just about what you buy, but what you choose not to buy.
So it's about prioritizing,
Exactly.
making sure every gold coin is working as hard as it can.
Working hard for you.
Yeah.
The Advanced Based Attack Force Strategy Guide
Okay.
had a great example.
Okay, I like examples.
Let's say you have 100 gold
Okay.
and you're debating between upgrading your resource accelerator
Okay.
or purchasing a few premium units.
Ooh, tough choice. Both sound tempting.
Yeah, right? How do we decide?
Yeah, how do we decide?
The guide suggests asking yourself,
Okay.
what will have a bigger impact on my overall progress
Okay.
right now? Maybe those premium units
Yeah.
give you a short-term edge in battles,
Right.
but upgrading your resource accelerator could lead to a much larger influx of resources over time,
Yeah.
allowing you to build a more powerful base in the long run.
So it's about thinking strategically.
Exactly.
Not just tactically.
Long-term vision.
And this is where understanding your own play style and
Yeah.
goals becomes crucial.
For sure.
Are you a hardcore player who thrives on constant action in battles?
Right.
Or are you more methodical, focusing on building a resource empire
Okay.
and striking strategically?
It's like choosing your path.
Yeah.
Your own unique way
Yeah.
to dominate the game.
I like it.
And
And once you have that clarity,
Right.
those gold spending decisions become much easier.
They do.
You're not swayed by those tempting limited time offers
Yeah.
or flashy unit bundles.
You see right through them.
Yeah, you're focused on maximizing that long-term progress.
Exactly.
This is giving me a whole new level of respect
Yeah.
for those top players.
Yeah.
It's like they're playing chess
Yeah.
while everyone else is playing checkers.
They're thinking several moves ahead.
Yeah, they're seeing the bigger picture,
Exactly.
understanding those interconnected systems,
Right.
and how even those seemingly small decisions
Yeah.
can have a ripple effect.
It's all connected.
So we're thinking long-term.
Yeah.
We're prioritizing based on our goals. What other hidden gems
Okay.
did those sources reveal about maximizing our gold's impact?
One that stood out,
Okay.
especially for those who are a little averse to spending real money, was the emphasis on those coupon codes.
Okay, let's talk about those.
It's almost like a mini game
Yeah.
within Base Attack Force.
I've always been a bit skeptical of those codes.
Really?
They seem too good to be true.
Yeah.
What kind of discounts are we talking about?
Alright.
And more importantly, where do we find these elusive codes?
The sources suggest that the discounts can be significant,
Okay.
sometimes even up to 50% off
Wow.
on gold purchases.
That's huge.
And the hunt for those codes
Yeah.
is part of the fun.
Okay, I'm game for a treasure hunt.
All right.
Lead the way. Where do we start?
The sources mention several hotspots.
Okay.
Social media, specifically those official Base Attack Force pages,
Okay.
newsletters,
All right.
and even those community forums
Right,
we've
right.
been talking about.
Yeah.
Sometimes developers will just drop codes
Oh, wow.
as part of special events or promotions.
So it pays to be an active member of the community.
It does.
Yeah, engaging with other players.
Yeah.
Participating in those forum discussions. It all increases your chances of snagging those coveted codes.
Absolutely. It's like a reward
Yeah.
for being a dedicated and informed player.
And those savings can really add up,
They can.
especially for those who want to enjoy the benefits of gold
Right.
without breaking the bank.
You don't have to spend a fortune.
We're seeing a theme here.
What's that?
Smart players find ways to leverage the game systems to their advantage,
They do.
whether it's through strategic spending,
Right.
clever base design, or even those coupon code hunts.
Got to be clever.
Speaking of resource management,
Okay.
those sources also had some interesting insights
Right.
about those instant resource purchases.
Right. Those tricky ones.
We touched on them briefly before,
We did.
but I'm curious. to dig a little bit deeper.
Okay, let's dig in.
When does it actually make sense?
Yeah, that's the big question.
To spend gold on resources directly.
The sources suggest that this strategy is most effective when used for specific high-impact situations.
Okay, like what?
For example,
Yeah.
let's say there's a limited time event
Okay.
that offers bonus rewards for reaching certain milestones.
Okay.
You might be just a few thousand steel short
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
of that next tier of rewards.
Yeah.
So in that case, spending a small amount of gold
Okay.
to instantly purchase that steel
Right.
could unlock a much larger reward, giving you a significant return on your investment.
So it's a calculated risk,
It
a
is.
strategic gamble
You got to weigh the options.
that can pay off big time if done correctly.
Absolutely.
And another scenario where this strategy might make sense
Right.
is when you're recovering from a particularly devastating attack.
Oh, yeah.
Remember how we talked about those recovery costs
Yeah.
for key buildings?
Like the power plant?
Yeah, the power plant, the military central.
Yeah, those are top priorities.
Those are top priority.
But sometimes you need to replenish
Yeah.
your basic resources quickly
To rebuild.
to rebuild those defensive structures
yeah.
and get back on your feet.
Right.
So in those cases, spending a small amount of gold on resources
Yeah.
could be the difference
Right.
between a quick recovery
Yeah.
and a prolonged vulnerability.
So it's about assessing the situation,
Exactly.
making a judgment call
Right.
based on your immediate needs
Uh-huh.
and your long-term goals.
That long-term vision again.
And this is where those sources emphasizing player experience
Yeah.
really shine.
They do.
They offer real-world examples
Right.
of how successful players have used this strategy
Right.
to overcome setbacks
Uh-huh.
and gain a competitive edge.
They've been there.
It's like having a mentor
Yeah, dude.
guiding you through those tough decisions and showing you the ropes.
Learning from the best.
This has been an incredible deep dive
It has been.
into the world of base attack force,
For sure.
and specifically how to use gold strategically
Right.
for maximum impact.
We covered so much.
We covered so much ground,
They did.
from those early game resource gathering units
Yeah, those Jarmillas.
to those advanced strategies for maximizing our defenses.
Absolutely.
We've explored the concept of opportunity cost,
Right.
the importance of understanding the meta,
The meta is key.
and even those psychological tactics.
Oh, yeah, those mind games.
That can give you an edge.
They can really make a difference.
We've learned about the power of those coupon codes
Can't beat a good discount.
and those strategic instant resource purchases.
Right.
That can make all the difference in those key situations.
For sure.
And most importantly, we've emphasized the importance of finding your own play style.
Sure.
Setting those clear goals and making those gold spending decisions that align with your overall strategy.
You got it.
It's been an amazing journey,
It has.
and I feel like I've gained a whole new level of understanding of this complex,
It is complex,
engaging game.
but that's what makes it fun.
But the learning doesn't stop here, right?
It never does.
The beauty of base attack force is that it's constantly evolving.
Always changing.
So we're not just mastering the game, we're mastering the art of adaptation.
Exactly. And the insights we've gained
Yeah,
from these sources, I think our listeners are well equipped
I agree.
to embark on that journey
Yes.
of continuous learning and improvement.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do another deep dive in the future,
I'd love that.
exploring those new challenges and strategies
Right.
that emerge as the game continues to evolve.
It's always evolving.
Until then, Commanders, keep those bases strong,
Keep them strong.
those minds,
Sharp minds.
and those strategies evolving.
Always evolving.
We'll see you on the leaderboards.
See you there.